GHOne TV, your best experience.
Tonight on the program, of Ghana slums ADB takeover reports says it has not given approval for any takeover or transfer of shares to Unibank as GSE suspends trading license of ADB.
Bank of Ghana has not given approval to the purported takeover or through the pledging of shares.
Also tonight, government plans to demolish structures in waterways for the umpteenth time. We'll ask why this effort has failed in cabin floods in Accra. Decaying heap of rubbish creates discomfort for pedestrians around the Spanner Junction. And we'll also take you to Sierra Leone, where citizens have been voting to elect new leaders. Good evening, my name is Kemini Amano and this is News Tonight. Here's our first story. The foot of the pedestrian bridge at the Spanner Junction near the Accra Mall has turned into a dump site. From people littering the area, it has now graduated into a heap of rubbish decorating the main Tetekwashi-Legon stretch. Imelda J has been looking into this eyesore.
President Nana Akufo-Addo in 2017 pledged to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa by the end of his tenure in office.
The commitment I want to make is a commitment I want all of us to make. That within these 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa.
That remains a dream. As the first quarter of 2018 comes to an end, the country continues to struggle with waste management. The country's capital, Accra, is flooded with waste and uncollected refuse despite several promises by various bodies to improve the situation. The Spanner bus stop seems to be growing into a convenient area for people to dump waste, as it is uncommon to find the place inundated with rubbish. Standing at the bus stop, one cannot but inhale the pungent smell emanating from the decaying rubbish, making pedestrians uncomfortable. The situation is aggravated by the mushrooming of a market in the area, but the vendors will rather blame Zoom Lion for failing to collect the rubbish after sweeping.
Zoom Lion for the big go. I'm papra, mountain son. So I'm papra, no more the big go. Zoom Lion for the big one day. Yes, you are pra, now you see the gusso. So I'm baby fat. I'm the dad's BBC ho. And no master, I better start dad's binico. This
thing is they haven't have first they have the container at the top there, but the time they make the zinc cover the whole place, so they make here like it's one way, so they put AMA normally sweep and put over here, and then the car will come and take it away. So is that how the rubbish was there?
The situation is no different at the Shiashi Footbridge area. Rubbish left unchecked decorated the streets.
Now, food safety is among the many subjects discussed at many international fora in view of its importance for the well-being of consumers. However, it appears the subject is least appreciated. The regional head of the Volta Regional Food and Drugs Authority, GHOne News, says lovers of all maize-related foods are free to eat banku, but advise the public to be more cautious of hygiene at home and at public eateries. He spoke to GHOne News' Joshua Ayira in the wake of the sudden death of 6 people and 2 who are in critical condition following the consumption of contaminated banku in the Volta region.
I like Tiozafi.
It's more comiwa, can me follow.
Manage banku pa.
It is very common to find traces of maize in most of our local dishes, from beverages to solid foods such as kenke, banku, among others. Maize is one of the most important staple food grown in Ghana that meets the nutritional needs of both humans and livestock. It is a rich source of energy, vitamins, and some amount of protein. However, contamination of maize by aflatoxins in production affects businesses. But what is worse is when the processing of the maize into food goes wrong. On Monday, March 6, 2018, a mysterious death occurred in relation to the consumption of akpla, otherwise known as banku, and okra soup at Akapokopa in the Volta region. The development appeared to have quenched the interest of many who love the local dish. The regional head of the Volta Regional Food and Drugs Authority, Eugene Addo, has urged the public not to entertain any fear as the regulatory body have mounted intense surveillance to contain the situation and also identify the source of the problem.
The public should have no cause to worry. There's no cause for alarm. It's not every maize that is having a problem. This is one out of a lot. Like I'm saying, in the same vicinity there is an eatery there. It's operating as we were there, and there's no reports from there since this happened. So I don't think the public should have any cause to worry.
Meanwhile, a section of the public is unfazed about the unfortunate incident which took the lives of 6 and left 2 under critical condition, even though the cause is yet to be established. They shared their thoughts with GHOne News.
To 5 to Jimmy Cabo floor pepe. Bangocha came Jomo, Bangoka Yenicam, where I'm a wallet. Naka Bablifiole, me and Yamakayelimo. No commit to a Yamakayeli.
Babakoyeli. Jack Banco and the Junani Agogame, money Junanaka for or Yamapabankoyeli.
Oh, David couldn't be because, hey, my favorite food, Mrs. Nebejai. As no Bian and Edian, it's on a could be an engine. Anyway, couldn't we? May say the media, Jimmy. It's mean,
But the processing of some local foods with somewhat innovative machinery requires some attention. The environment in which the foods are milled or cooked, whether at home or at the public eateries. The storage processes also demand some safety precautions. Eugene Addo advised the public to commit to the clear food safety practices to avert any further mishaps.
Processes and procedures are different, but all that we will say is from the source of the raw material. When we are buying the raw material, that's the okra, the whatever, we should buy from a source that at least we can be able to judge what it is. So it's not only the registered eateries that we are talking about, but even way back home, what we take, we should be conscious of it.
At 61 years, many would have thought the issue of unemployment would be a thing of the past. But the country's unemployment situation keeps growing by the day. For many unemployed graduates, there's no need for Ghana to celebrate its 61st year of nationhood, especially when the stability of the country's employment situation cannot be accounted for. In this report, Evelyn Araba Edu tells the frustration of a 34-year-old unemployed graduate and how he is coping.
34-year-old Kennedy Akagamkum Alazi is a graduate of the University of Development Studies. Kennedy studied integrated development and graduated in 2014 with a second-class upper honors. But his joy of securing a decent job seems to be winding off. Kennedy has been combing the streets of Accra in search of a job after completing his national service in 2015. He narrates his frustration in trying to the news team.
I've done everything within my power. I applied to countless number of companies. I've written countless applications. Some of them resulted in interviews which I attended, and in some cases through recruitment agencies. I had to part away with hard-earned money. You can imagine a guy is not working. He applies to a company, through a recruitment company, and he rather has to go there and make payment before his application is sent to the would-be employer.
It is Independence Day, and Kennedy is completely lost in thoughts. He questions the need for the celebration, especially when graduate unemployment keeps soaring.
There are quite a number of us who are regretting Ghana's independence, in the sense that had the whites, the British, been in control, at least things would have been better. Over 1.2 million Ghanaians, especially the youth, are without jobs. They are unemployed. And even those who are employed are underemployed. They are being exploited by their employers. All because we are not able to create sustainable jobs.
After 3 years roaming the streets of Accra in search of a job, Kennedy found solace in establishing this drinking spot in order to make ends meet. He had to use all of his life savings and with the help of a friend to set up the drinking spot business, which cost him over 6,000 cedis. He described as unacceptable the high level of unemployment in the country, adding the situation will worsen if pragmatic measures are not put in place to create jobs. According to him, youth unemployment represents a serious threat to the stability of the country. He said successive governments failed to create jobs for new graduates entering the job market. He also expressed concern about the absence of a viable private sector in Ghana to absorb the teeming unemployed youth in Ghana.
Government's topmost priority to ensure, one, security of its citizens, and two, provision of better standard of living, better conditions of living. And one way to secure a better condition of living is through the provision of jobs, well-paid jobs. These are lacking in the country. And the unemployment rate keeps rising year after year. As we continue to produce more and more graduates into the system, more and more of them end up not getting jobs to do.
Data from the Institute of Statistics, Social and Economic Research of the University of Ghana last year revealed that only 10% of graduates find jobs after the first year of completing school. The data also indicated that it may take up to 10 years for a large number of graduates to secure employment due to varied challenges. Ghana's unemployment rate, according to the World Bank, stood at 8.2% in 1998. It then increased to 10.4% in 2000. 10 years later, it dropped to 5.2%. and soared to 48% in 2016. As of last year, over 1.2 million persons in the youthful age were estimated to be unemployed.
Now, people are divided over whether or not there is the need for a national cathedral after the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, unveiled a design for a national cathedral. The purpose, according to the president, was to offer thanks to the Almighty God for his blessings upon the nation and address the missing link in the nation's architectural space. But that seems to have sparked a debate. Take a look.
The edifice, to be called the National Cathedral, will be home to more than 3,000 audience members. The structure, with a touch of Asian sanctuary, will be constructed over a 5-year period. Although it remains to be known where funds will be got to complete the project, the president is sure of its importance.
The purpose of the cathedral, as I indicated at the sword cutting, was to offer thanksgiving to the Almighty for his blessings to us as a nation, and to address a missing link in the nation's architecture by building a church for national purposes.
This explanation did not, however, sit well with some Ghanaians who called on the president to also set up a national mosque.
For me, I think it's okay. I don't really know why he did that, but I think whatever he does, he knows why he does them. So they should set up a mosque, numerous of them, a lot of them, because it will be like it's on the other, just on one side. Once he adds a mosque to it here, it's fair, it's okay, it balances.
If the Muslims should be part of it, it will be fine. But if they should be exempted, I don't know why they should be exempted, because they are also part of this nation's building, because they also contribute very much to the upgrowing of the nation. You understand? So it should be something to cover everybody as a citizen.
You know, churches in Ghana here, each one has their own doctrines which govern, but I don't understand how all these churches will come by then with their different doctrines come together and live in that one cathedral.
You're watching News Tonight. We are live on GHOne Television, and my name is Kemini Amano. Still to come here. Bank of Ghana slams ADB takeover report, says it has not given approval for a takeover or transfer of shares to Unibank as GSE suspends trading license of ADB.
Ghana has not given approval to the purported takeover or through the pledging of shares of the Agricultural Development Bank to Unibank.
Also to come here, we'll take you to Sierra Leone, where citizens have been voting to elect new leaders. Get the details when we return. Stay with me.
So what makes Storm energy drink different?
Look into the bottle.
Storm energy drink. Power.
Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight with me, Kemini Amano. Let's talk about that Unibank story. You may have heard this morning about how Unibank is to hold shares of Belstar in ADB interest for Belstar. Now, we've been talking to management of Unibank, who have described as wrong the assertions that it's taking over ADB as reported in the media earlier. Its executive director, Clifford Mettle, who spoke to GHOne News earlier today, said the bank has only taken over the 51% shares pledged to it by Belstar Capital and other shareholders of ADB.
What has happened is that Belstar Group
I mean, the group, and I'm talking about the EDC, SIC, Starmont, Besta itself, they have pledged whatever stake they had in ADB to Unibank. So, in effect, the total shareholding that they have, which constituted almost about 51%, they are saying that they are pledging all their entitlements or their even voting rights, they are shareholding to Unibank. So, tentatively, we are not actually taking over ADB as in moving into ADB today and taking over management. No. We have taken over the shareholding that Belstar Group has got in ADB.
Meanwhile, the central bank says it has not approved any takeover of ADB. Neither has it approved the holding of Belstar's shares in trust by Unibank. Here's Governor Ernest Addison.
The Bank of Ghana has not given approval to the purported takeover or through the pledging of shares of the Agricultural Development Bank to Unibank. The bank has also noted the challenges in the microfinance sector and would like to assure the public that it is taking steps to address these challenges through our monitoring of the microfinance institutions. We have also held a number of meetings with shareholders and management of the affected institutions. Together with the government, the bank is working on a comprehensive reform program to address the challenges in the microfinance sector and strengthen regulatory and supervisory oversight.
Well, so this whole thing has turned a bit murky. Let's find a level ground here. Kweku Timei is with our business team here. He's joined me in the studio. Kweku, where do we find level ground in all of this back and forth between Unibank and the central bank?
Well, Kemini, it's becoming crystal clear that the earlier communication that went out there was not the stance of Unibank. Obviously, talking about taking over the 51% shares, a lot of reporters who initially reported on the issue sent the signals that they were taking over the institution ADB.
Just like it happened in the UT Bank
Absolutely,
case.
And that they were going to have signages and the like change. And of course, that sent some panic waves down the financial industry, and everybody was waiting for really the central bank to come out. Clearly, we've heard Clifford tonight mention categorically that they were taking over the shares. And tonight I have even confirmation from ADB, from a statement that they've released just this evening.
We'll look at that statement, but one of those financial institutions, depending on how you look at it, that reacted to this takeover news is the Ghana Stock Exchange suspending the license of ADB. You spoke with them. What did you gather? All right.
So they said, well, ADB is listed on the stock market. When you have such an information going out there, it sends panic waves to investors. The best they can do at this moment is to hold on to the trading of ADB shares, because depending on what comes out, share prices of ADB could just go up or tumble down, depending on what how investors react to it. So the best thing in their interest was to immediately halt the trading of ADB shares until there is clarity on these whole issues, until indeed ADB comes back to report to the state, because in actual fact, they were actually also in limbo. They were waiting for information from ADB. What has actually transpired? Are you in the know? Have you given us feedback? Because remember, in takeover procedures, if you are going to take over an institution, for instance, especially the bank, and you are going to buy even 10% of it, you're supposed to inform the central bank.
As long as it's more than 10%, the central bank needs to play a role.
Be aware of it. That information has not come to them even at the stock exchange yet. So with all this information not too clear, hold on ADB with any form of trading, because some people can take advantage and cash in on it, or take advantage on it just because of what is happening, and it could get their shares tumble down or go up.
Let me just remind our viewers at this point that we will talk about the ADB further in a bit, and I'd want to welcome Dr. Anani Entry, who is former director of the Securities and Exchange Commission and a board member of ADB. Doc, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to come back to you in a bit, but let's talk about that statement with Kweku. Kweku, ADB responded in a statement just this evening. What is it saying?
All right, I'll share a bit of it with you. It took me by surprise on that one because I need to refer on my phone. But primarily, the information is talking about how they are aware that Belstar Capital has informed them about the state, the issue that's Unibank actually taking over the shares of Belstar Capital and the like, but they wanted to be emphatic that, you know, they having the rights to the shares does not mean a takeover. So they were trying to communicate on that.
Kweku, just stay here for me. Let me go to Dr. Anani Entry now. Doc, what is the significance of the statement you have rolled out this evening?
Yes.
Well, Doc, I'm asking of the significance of the statement the ADB has rolled out this evening.
Well, it's to clarify the misleading headline that was given to the story in the financial, business and financial times. The bank is just clarifying that, yes, there are pledges. People have pledged, some shareholders have pledged their shares to Unibank, but that does not amount to Unibank taking over those shares to become shareholder of the bank.
Okay, now let's get on level ground here. What is true is the fact that Belstar has handed over its shares to Unibank. Is that what ADB will want to convey?
Belstar has not handed its share over to Unibank. Belstar has pledged its shares to Unibank.
What's the
Pledging
difference?
of shares is not handing over of shares.
What does pledging of shares mean?
It's like a collateral.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
You're saying the pledging of the shares is like a collateral?
The pledging of a share is like a collateral when you go for a bank loan and you use your property for the collateral. The bank doesn't own your property. It is given as a collateral that if you don't pay, the bank can fall on that collateral. It's the same situation if you pledge your securities.
I see. So, and Doc, forgive my ignorance. I'm getting more confused here.
Yeah.
I'm getting more confused here. So, as far as the ADB is concerned,
all that I'm trying to explain to you, I have shares in, let's say, Bank A, and then I go to somebody to borrow funds. Then I say, I'm pledging my shares as a collateral. What it means is that I'm giving you assurance that if I'm not able to pay, you will fall on that collateral. If I pledge my collateral to you, it doesn't become your assets. You can only get it as assets if I fail to pay you and you go through the necessary foreclosure to take over the assets. Then it will be transferred to you, and then you, the bank, who gives me the money, will now become the owner of the asset.
Very well.
Whether it is shares or building.
So I want to transfer that knowledge onto the situation we have. As far as the ADB is concerned, what is the relationship between Unibank and Belstar, for which reason Belstar is pledging its shares to Unibank?
Well, you see, if somebody who owns shares in your bank goes and have an arrangement with some financial institution, you, the bank, whose shares somebody is holding, you have no reason, no basis of finding out why have you gone for a loan. So ADB need not have any relationship or any explanation from the people, the shareholders who have done that. I'm a shareholder of a bank. If I go and pledge my shares, that's my own asset that I'm using to pledge.
I agree, but
there will be no relationship between the asset owner and the bank which issues those securities.
51%, one would argue, it's a lot of shares. You'd have, you have control over the company to, a large extent. ADB was not curious at any point to find out.
What I'm saying is that the shares are owned by companies or individuals, if you like, by institutions. Those 51 that we have shareholders, and they still remain the shareholders of the 51. Shareholding hasn't changed under this arrangement. That is all that we are explaining to the public.
Very well.
That the 51%, wherever or that you are quoting, the 5 or 6 or whatever groups that get that total amount, their shares amount to 51, they are still shareholders of the 51.
So from the education you have given us as far as this report is concerned, unlike reported earlier, Unibank will not be playing any active role in
Unibank
ADB.
is not a shareholder of ADB. It is not a shareholder of ADB.
Nana, I get that. I just want you to address earlier reports, which suggested
so if you are
that
not a shareholder of an institution, you don't have anything to do with the institution in terms of what the shareholders are doing.
Very well. Nana, I'm grateful for your time. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Dr. Edu Ananienchi is former SEC boss. He's also a board member of the ADB. He's been explaining the significance of the statement that the bank issued late this evening. Kweku, this should put the matter to rest, shouldn't it?
Well, like you rightly mentioned, I'm more confused than, at some point, because the question here is, having been pledged to 51%, can't I join in decision making? I mean, I have the software, that technology that brings in that magic wand, so long as banking is concerned, and I have 51% shares pledged to me. I mean, I can say from the banking perspective, I can bring that aboard, and that is where my confusion lies. It's been pledged to me. Does it just make me a ceremonial keeper of the shares, or I can actually contribute to the decision taking and say, look, when we run this way, this is what leads to profitability, and that's exactly what I'm thinking, Dr. Edu Ananienchi. But the whole thing looks like, well, let's gag the whole thing. You are not coming in to do anything. But, well, within the coming days, I'm sure more issues
Absolutely.
will
It'll be interesting to know what the central bank now thinks about this. Unibank is not a shareholder directly in ADB. By virtue of some relationship we are not privy to, they're only holding it for Belstar. If it defaults on that relationship, they keep the shares. That's what Doc is trying to make us understand.
That's it.
Whatever the... And if that is the relationship, Kweku, we've looked at the regulation. It sort of bends the regulation a little, because this is not a direct transfer, and so you cannot apply the 10% to it.
Absolutely not.
Well,
not.
Well,
it doesn't apply here.
It will be
because you don't come in here at all.
Absolutely.
You don't have any shares in there. But the matter what we'll have to find out more on is the pledge of 51% shares to the group or the individual. What does it make you then? Very well, very well.
Kweku will return with some business news in a bit, but right now let's bring you Insight. Tonight, we want to talk about demolition of structures in waterways in a bid to curb the perennial floods here in Accra. We want to put a face to some of these exercises, and so we'll take you back to one of our old stories in which hundreds of residents at Chadu in the Dadekotopon municipality were rendered homeless after a massive demolition on Tuesday morning. Now, the homeowners were cited for encroaching the Kweshi Lagoon. Here's a report by William Evans Inkum, who monitored that exercise.
So they watched with pains and anguish, but there's absolutely nothing they can do as these aggrieved residents watch their properties being reduced to rubble.
A helpless situation, the saddest day for this landlord. Almost a dozen houses have been demolished in an exercise which was conducted by the Dadekotopon Municipal Assembly and heavily supervised by the police and military team, obviously to quell any interference. At this point, you have few minutes to move out your belongings or have them destroyed saying the task force will not show any mercy. Some of the residents claim no notice was served them. An official from the La Dade Kotopon Municipal Assembly won't confirm or deny the claim.
You did not serve them notice, is that correct? We understand that. So why will you embark on such an exercise without serving the residents here notice? Do we know the number of structures that have been earmarked for demolition, sir? Okay, so he wouldn't speak to me. I've asked him about 3 questions, but he wouldn't react to any of them, just to direct the bulldozer, bring down properties on this particular land.
But one thing was clear. Some notices were served and explicitly scribbled on some of the buildings. The Peshi Lagoon is seriously encroached. The reason the local authority is demolishing these properties. But who sold the land to these people?
The answer is better assassin or Hanmono. Oma meto surveyor, Omna Emma, your friend is saying, I'm a ton assassin or Hanum, area Hanmo, our area Hanmo. But on my etias say, for now, area Hanina paper beer ni so, apart from site plan, our mama. And yet, by then, so now, beer ni documents beer covering the land here.
But Alex, a staff at the La Trust office, the traditional owners, kept on contradicting himself as I engaged him.
Since when did you know or notice that some people have taken over your land?
You just said it this morning, just about 30 minutes ago.
You didn't know that people were putting up structures that are visible structures you didn't know until today?
We know people are building here. We are coming out with...
You know that people are building here?
Yeah, we are coming out with...
You did not find out as to whether they have the needed document to build on this land?
Not at all, because it is our office that gives documents.
But the land belongs to you?
Yeah, it belongs to the trust.
So how come you were not so much interested in your...
We are here to...
That is a question I want to find from you.
Yeah, that is what I'm also saying, that we have to give you a document before you can build.
A heartbreaking situation, but the Peshi Lagoon must also be protected. And the problem is that these residents have been offered a bad deal. Who caused this situation? The news team will continue to follow up until the questions are answered. William Evans Inkum, GHOne News, Chado.
So that is how people lose their homes because they built in waterways. They wail and gnash their teeth because they have become homeless. Now, on the outside, you console yourself that in the future when it rains, there'll be no more floods and no lives will be lost or properties lost. Question: has it ever happened that way? Your guys is as good as mine, but I can also tell you that this will not be the last time this is happening. Why? Because the Minister of Works and Housing, Samuel Atachian, has disclosed to Parliament that government plans on demolishing more structures in waterways in order to avoid floods in many parts of the city. Now, according to the minister, short, medium and long-term measures are being rolled out to address the flood menace. The Ebuakwa North MP disclosed the paltry 5.5 million cedis allocated in the 2018 budget is being used to desilt major drains in Accra. He adds a permanent solution can only be found when the economic condition of the country allows it. Take a listen.
Medium-term measures include dredging and desilting of drains and the flood retention basin ponds and removal of all obstructions. Construction of new drains and sea defense structures, reconstruction of poor functioning drains, revision of existing land use and spatial plans, revision of guidelines, manuals and planning standards, preparation of structure plan for Ghana, support the passage of the legislative instrument on the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016 at 925 to enhance enforcement. Support the Ministry of the Local Government and Rural Development in the recruitment of planning inspectors to monitor and ensure that development on the ground conforms to plans. Mr. Speaker, this is a real challenge. Support the establishment of interjurisdictional coordination of drainage management to create awareness, to sensitize and educate the public. Very critical.
Well, so if you live in Waterway, prepare for some demolition works occurring in your neighborhood. We'll have a conversation now on the back of this subject. Why have we rendered people homeless, yet when it rains, our city floods badly? John Ameglo is Vice President of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. He's here with me in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us. I'd also need to add that attempts to get local authorities to engage us on this subject have not been successful, but we'll keep trying. John, do you by any chance have a response to this question as to why we render people homeless in order to keep flooding, but that never happens? We still see the floods.
Actually, we are aware that in Ghana, development is far ahead of planning. But notwithstanding, where it becomes necessary that some structures should have to give way for people living downstream to survive, I think that's the right way.
I agree, but when the structures give way and we render those people homeless, then we should see the results when it rains, shouldn't we?
Yes.
But that is not the case, would you say?
Yes. Sometimes we can also attribute those problems. You start a process and you do not carry it to the latter. And our attitude, for instance, if there is a gutter in front of your building, and then you continue to put garbage in it. If it rains, it will leave your place, but it will go and accumulate somewhere. But ideally, the special planning and physical development, they are supposed to actually plan the areas before we move in. But because we don't have the base maps that will be able to allow the planning officers to plan the areas before we move in, we start moving ahead. But if it is beyond any reasonable doubt that we cannot do any engineering to save some of the buildings that are on the waterway, they must give way.
So in a case like this, the ship already set sail. People have built already.
Yes.
Will it be worth it again to render more people homeless when really it doesn't solve the problem?
Not that it does not solve the problem. A building in a waterway creates havoc downstream. If there is any engineering to save the building, fine. But if there is no engineering to actually save the buildings, they must give way. That is the only way.
And when they give way, we have the problem of choked drains and all the others, which are not dealt with while we are rendering people homeless. So we are faced with the same problem. So then my question, will it be worth it again if we are not ready to implement a holistic approach to just go about and then break down people's hard-earned money?
We have to start from somewhere. And I can suggest that attitudinal change will help so that drains will not be choked, waterway will be free, and we will not have this perennial flood all over and everywhere, every time, every day we are having. And I would suggest that if the government have the political will, they should go to the extra length of taking the buildings off the waterway, and the rest will follow.
We have 5.5 million cedis to spend on making sure that we do not fall in the same situation. What do you suggest government does with this money?
Yes. You know, we have the hydrology department of Ministry of Works and Housing. It is a department that will actually take care of all issues concerning flooding. That money, if we manage it and then we plan properly, involving all the stakeholders, surveyors, planners, civil engineers, that money will be able to
sit down and talk?
No. Planning the project the way we are going to. You see, sometimes if the money comes, it depends on how you actually strategize to actually use it, to actually achieve the target. If money is voted, it is as well as having the job done if you have the qualified and then the professionals coming together to collaborate and then have the problem solved.
Well, thank you very much, John. I'm really grateful for your time tonight. Well, that'll be all for Insights. When we do hear from the local authorities, we'll let you know. Well, here's a story I'm chuffed about. A 6-year-old kindergarten pupil of the Christ the King School, Dorothy Nana Ofewa Ejay, has donated her 1-year savings kept in a money box to help purchase desks for pupils of the Yukurugu Primary School in the Upper East region. Dorothy was touched by the plight of the pupils who lie on their bellies to study due to the lack of furniture and tasked authorities to pay attention to the needs of children in the country.
Don't you get tired when you put your arms on the floor like this? Don't your shoulders hurt?
Yes, it's hurt. We are getting tired when we are here when we do this and there's those small stones and do it, and it will be, and your stomach also.
Your stomach also hurts?
Yes. When it happens like that, and you will sit like this, and you will sit before you write. And when you are sitting, when you are writing, if you sit like this and writing, your stomach will be paining. I feel that when they get cares for us, it will be good for us.
Touched by the plight of children in the Yukurugu Primary School in the Boku West district of the Upper East region, 6-year-old Dorothy Nana Ofewa Ejay decided to use the money she had saved in her money box since last year to help get some desks for the pupils. She presented the money box together with an envelope containing 160 Ghana cedis, which was added by her parents as a top-up. After breaking her money box, a total amount of 196 cedis 70 pesos was retrieved. Speaking in an interview with the news team, the little angel explained why she chose to use her savings for this social project instead of her initial plan of using it to buy something for herself.
I'm donating it for the children that don't have chairs and desks.
Why are you donating it to them?
Because they don't have chairs and desks.
And how do you feel about that?
I feel sad.
Dorothy's mother said she was amazed when her daughter asked them to come and donate her money after viewing the report on GHOne News.
Actually, I was surprised because she wanted to buy so many things. And like you said, you want to use the money to give to the children. She said, yes, I want to give them the money because I want them to have desks. And so then that's good. Then after that, let's go to the mobile shop and do the transaction. No, we have to bring the money here ourselves.
Oh, you're such a little girl with a big heart.
Staff of the GHOne newsroom was so amazed by Dorothy's kind gesture, and our appeal is for others to emulate the gesture to help bring relief to the pupils in Yukurugu who are in dire need of desks. Alice Ayite, GHOne News.
Oh, well, look at that little princess with a big golden hat. I don't know what you were waiting for. But also, some companies have shown some goodwill. Das Capital, sponsors for our business segment, have brought in some 20,000 cedis for the Yukurugu Primary School.
Let me commend you for the wonderful story that you did. I must say it was very touching. And most of us have the opportunity to use a desk when we were in school. So when I saw the story, it was really, really very touching, and I felt the need that we can come in to help. We always say that we don't always have to wait for government to come and do everything. For we on our part as private sector, we also have a role to play as far as development is concerned, and especially one that has to do with education. And I felt the need that for we as a business and as an investment bank, Das Capital, we are committed as part of our corporate social responsibility to provide education. And the story was one that fits in that sense. And our desire is to make sure that at least we provide or we give our small amount that we can also use to help in this gesture that we are doing. Within the southern sector have those things, and especially within the northern Ghana, they lack those amenities. It is just fair that they also get those amenities to enable to help them in their education. For me, my desire is that they will study in comfort and they will not struggle too much. Already they have a lot of challenges already, but to have a bedding for you to lie on the floor to study alone is a difficult thing. Most of them, in first instance, don't even want to go to school. So now, if now the desire is to go to school, then I think it is just fair that we also helping to provide those amenities that will enable them to feel comfortable. Listening to the guy who wants to become a president, his desire is that he will one day solve that problem that he is going through. I must say that was a bit that really touched me.
Also, there you have it. Das Capital, an associate of ours, bringing in some 20,000 cedis for students of Yikurugu. Now, speaking of Das Capital, brings to mind also Business Brief with Kweku Temi. He's back here in the studio. Hello, Kweku.
Hello, Kemini.
We are happy to associate with them, aren't we?
Absolutely. They are not only looking for millionaires in you, but actually they are giving back to society. We're proud of you, Das Capital.
Brief is brought to you by Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you. We're looking for you, the next millionaire. We know of your stressful routine. From those 12-hour flights across the Atlantic to your hustle through traffic every day. From burning the midnight oil to that laptop that never sleeps. We know where you are in life. And we know where you want to go. Let us take you there. Thinking investment? Think Dusk Capital. Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you.
Henry, what is wrong with you and your laptop? It is not working.
Hey. What at all is going on in this house?
Your son's laptop is not working and my phone.
Me kai me mo frabrim. Na me mama de me ko Freddy's corner. Enti ene eye manager. Se me di Freddy's corner ho dance e. A chere mabusia. Na de ba ko a me kai wo Freddy's corner. Eye se de wo siti wonim. Ejeji wo customers. Eba mobile phone, eba laptop papa, camera papa ni PlayStation a Freddy's corner aha in the wall. So go back to mobile phone and say, or camera say, or laptop and say, and our PlayStation. Me how cry. Freddy's corner be trying you amount. Freddy's corner, your home of authentic mobile phones and accessories.
All right, so let's do some business now. And here, President Akufo-Addo has challenged the banks in Ghana to complement the achievement of his government by reducing the lending rates to the private sector. President Akufo-Addo was speaking at the commissioning of the new EcoBank head office.
Delivering the special guest of honor address at the official opening of the newly built EcoBank Ghana head office at the forecourt of the building, President Akufo-Addo said lending rates have remained stubbornly high, irrespective of the fact that the fiscal deficit has reduced, with inflation declining to 10.3 as at January 2018, growing improvement in our microeconomy, a fall in the 91-day Treasury bill rate from 16.4% in 2016 to 13.4%.
The gap between what is happening to the decline in inflation and the rates being charged by the private bank, that gap is a gap we have to bridge. If we are to give really substantial complement to the vision that we all share of Ghana as a free, entrepreneurial, and globally competitive economy, My challenge to you is to complement the efforts of my government, which is creating a more stable macroeconomic framework by bringing down lending rates.
The managing director of EcoBank Ghana, Daniel Saki, in his welcome address indicated that the EcoBank since 2012 has become the biggest banking institution in Ghana. He said the bank intends to embrace fully the digitization of banking to make sure that the bank's customers are given the best of service.
We at EcoBank are aware of your digitization program, which you clearly advocated yesterday at the National Independence Day celebrations. In particular, we are concerned about the agenda on financial inclusion. And we can assure you that this digitization agenda can be achieved with the help of EcoBank mobile app, as it allows every Ghanaian to open a bank account from his phone without setting foot in a banking hall.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Ernest Addison, commended EcoBank for putting up such a huge edifice to serve as its headquarters in Ghana. He also disclosed that the Bank of Ghana has this morning issued new corporate governance guidelines targeted at banks and other special deposit-taking institutions. It is his hope that the new guidelines would go a long way to help streamline the governance of financial institutions in the country and minimize bad practices in the sector.
All right, so let's stay with banking still, as GHL Bank, once known as Ghana Home Loans, has proved itself the mortgage specialist with the launch of its new indigenous Save to Own a Mortgage product. Well, this innovative product is specially designed to give more Ghanaians an opportunity to acquire a home of choice through a mortgage.
There are no official figures to indicate the magnitude of Ghana's housing deficit. Nonetheless, recent reports have pegged it at over 2 million. Bridging the gap for the mostly poor and middle-income earners means making home acquisition affordable. GHL Bank has partnered developers to roll out an affordable housing scheme, thereby making home ownership easier. With over a decade of experience in providing mortgages, the GHL Bank understands the need of the average Ghanaian SME business owner and non-resident individual, and has created Save to Own mortgages to address the challenges. According to the executive director in charge of business at GHL Bank, Kojo Ado Kufuor said a sizable number of applicants are often unable to purchase mortgage facilities because they do not meet financial requirements.
This is a product which we think makes home ownership more accessible to the average Ghanaian, because we've looked at the reasons why in the past we haven't been able to write mortgages for the self-employed, the non-resident Ghanaians, even those who are salaried but have other sources of income. And we've used over a decade of experience to re-engineer our underwriting process and make it easier for people to demonstrate their income and therefore qualify for a mortgage and therefore become a homeowner.
Head of Mortgage Orientation at GHL Bank, Richard Asante, explained the benefits of Save to Own mortgages.
The product is in two parts. There's a part one, which is the savings phase, and a part two, which is the mortgage phase. The part one has a tenure or a duration of 12 up to 24 months. And this depends on the applicant's profile or type of product that they want from us. The second part, the mortgage phase, has a tenure of up to 15 years. The objective of this product, Save to Own, is to enable applicants to demonstrate to us and allow GHL Bank to observe and evaluate behavior of applicants.
All right, so that's all we have for you in Business Tonight. If more, Kameni Amano, do stay.
Business Brief was brought to you by Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you.
Now, let's take you to Sierra Leone now, where presidential, parliamentary and local council elections are underway. More than 3 million voters turned up to vote in the keenly contested election.
Sierra Leonean President Ernest Bai Koroma is stepping down after 7 2-5-year terms. His chosen successor, Samura Kamara, is being challenged by 15 other candidates, many of them promising to tackle endemic corruption and poverty. One of the greatest challenges for the new leader will be to reconstruct a healthcare system following the Ebola outbreak in 2014 that killed nearly 4,000 people and brought the economy of the country to its knees.
It has been a very, very busy day here in Freetown, Sierra Leone, though business as normal has actually come to a standstill. All shops are closed, but we can see few vehicles moving around, those with accreditations, and tricycles also moving out to take people from one place to another. So voting is still underway, and the counting process will be starting anytime from now. People are listening to their radio stations and watching their TV sets to know what the situation is so far. Eric Kawa, Freetown.
And well, that was Eric Kawa bringing us that report from Sierra Leone, ending tonight's broadcast. We'll see you same time tomorrow, but do join us at 6 a.m. for the early morning news. My name is Kemini. Have a good night.